Prince Andrew exploits royal loophole as he makes key change in order to keep beloved home. Prince Andrew is reportedly still refusing to move out of his Windsor property Royal Lodge and has come up with a cunning plan. Prince Andrew has figured out a way to stay put in his Windsor mansion while financing his own security, it has been reported. King Charles is said to still be trying to evict the disgraced royal out of Royal Lodge, which has been the Duke of York's home since the early 2000s. In a bid to evict his brother, Charles reportedly axed an annual £2.9 million payment Andrew used to pay his security guards at Royal Lodge. But his son on Sunday has reported that Andrew has found a way around this. Hello viewers, please remember to subscribe and click on the notifications bell icon, so you will be notified whenever we upload new cookies about the British royal family. The paper states the Duke has negotiated a cheaper protection deal at his leased home which he refuses to leave. His plan is believed to be bankrolled by Middle East money. The source further told the publication, he has his security but at a cheaper rate and he is managing to finance it himself. He has dug his heels in and is refusing to move, so found a way to finance his security. How sustainable in the long term? Then who knows how long he can do it for. The Duke of York has been reliant on funding from the King ever since he stepped down as a senior working royal in 2019, following his infamous Newsnight interview. The royal, who is father to Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, has resisted King Charles's attempts to evict him from the 30-room Windsor property. Frogmore Cottage, the former home of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, was previously suggested as a suitable replacement for Andrew, who lives at Royal Lodge with his former wife Sarah, the Duchess of York. Prince Andrew forced to splash out on cut-price security after Charles axes £3 million fund. Prince Andrew has reportedly been forced to take on the financial burden for security at his Windsor home after King Charles allegedly refused to fork out the £3 million a year costs. A recent tell-all book claimed King Charles cut off his support, including for the security at Andrew's 30-room Royal Lodge in Windsor. Despite the controversies swirling around him, the 64-year-old Duke of York has apparently hired a less expensive security service for the property he's determined to keep. Without a job but with links to wealthy figures, it is suggested that Andrew is covering the new security expenses using funds from the Middle East. His daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, have notably engaged in speaking events in Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi. A source disclosed to The Sun, he has his security but at a cheaper rate and he is managing to finance it himself. He has dug his heels in and is refusing to move, so found a way to finance his security. How sustainable in the long term? Then who knows how long he can do it for. It's also known that he built a network of business contacts in Asia and the Middle East during his 10-year stint as UK Special Representative for International Trade and Investment, which ended in 2011. During this period, he was provided with a £1 million home in Abu Dhabi by the royal family. In December 2017, Bloomberg News reported that Andrew had secured a £1.5 million personal loan from Luxembourg-based private bank Bank Haveland, which was repaid just 11 days later. Buckingham Palace was contacted for a comment but chose not to respond. Prince Andrew's future at Royal Lodge home. One thing could still seal his eviction. Prince Andrew's fall from public favour has been well documented, with his reported determination to stay at his Royal Lodge home in Windsor being the latest bone of contention. In line with King Charles' plans to downsize the monarchy, the Duke of York was offered a move from his mansion to the more compact Frogmore Cottage, recently refurbished by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Former BBC royal correspondent Jenny Bond previously offered a view on Andrew and the King's dilemma, saying that Andrew should accept his brother's sensible offer and move to a property he can afford. As the row continues to simmer away, Terry Fisher, chief executive of We Buy Any Home, spoke to OK about Andrew's future at Royal Lodge. On whether Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie would ever be able to inherit the home from their father, Terry said, while it's reported that Prince Andrew has a 75-year lease on Royal Lodge, the ability to pass this property to Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie as an inheritance isn't guaranteed. Because Royal Lodge is part of the Crown Estate, the final decision over succession or lease assignment would typically require Crown Estate approval, and possibly the King's assent. If Andrew were to vacate the property, either by choice or by circumstances, the Crown Estate and King Charles could choose to end the lease, assign it to another royal, or even open it up for new arrangements within the royal family. King Charles, as head of the royal household, would have considerable influence in this decision. Although the king doesn't directly control Crown Estate properties, he can certainly play a role in determining which royals reside in them. This means that if Charles has alternative plans for Royal Lodge, he could prevent it from being passed on to Andrew's daughters. Ultimately, any arrangement to extend or alter the lease terms would need to be mutually agreed upon with the Crown Estate and possibly influenced by the King's vision for future royal residences. While Royal Lodge has a rich and fascinating history, much of which is tied to the life of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, recent pictures highlighted the home's state of disrepair. The upkeep of Royal Lodge, as with any historical property, is extensive and costly, the expert points out. Historic estates demand ongoing repairs, climate control, and specialized care to address inevitable wear, all of which are costly and time-consuming. Without the financial backing previously afforded to working royals, Andrew could find these costs a growing strain. And, as we've seen in recent photos, neglecting issues like damp or structural wear can lead to worsening problems and higher costs down the line. Then, referring to how renegotiations if he fails in its upkeep could seal Andrew's fate, Terry adds, the Crown Estate may expect Royal Lodge to remain in a condition befitting its heritage status, so failing to meet these standards could lead to interventions, possibly even lease renegotiations if the property's preservation comes into question. As for what the future has in store for the royal residence, it is clear that King Charles will have the final say. Given the property's connection to the Crown Estate, King Charles could indeed influence whether Royal Lodge passes to Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, Terry explains. While Andrew may wish for his daughters to inherit the lease, the final say over who occupies Crown properties often involves the monarch's guidance or approval. Charles has a strategic view on royal residences, and if his vision doesn't align with Andrew's wishes, he could recommend the Crown Estate consider alternative uses or residents. Historically, Crown Estate properties like Royal Lodge aren't automatically inherited like privately owned estates. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like this video and drop comments, and most importantly don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything.